Kathy and Brian are going to talk about an incredible project, renewing one of the great historical areas. And I'm going to let them tell you sort of where it is, but orientate yourself to Memorial Drive along the Charles River. It used to be in my day called the Cottage Farm Bridge, but now it's called the BU Bridge.
Right.
You can't miss it. It's got a big span over. It's the only one that's got a big span over it. And just before you get there, you're going to see some great fields. You look a little bit further, you're going to see some water. And you look a little bit before that, you're going to see the magazine. Well, you're going to see all kinds of things, but you don't want to hear me tell you. These wonderful people who brought this project to life have got pictures. So do you want to, Kathy, why don't you start out and tell people what your project's all about, and then we'll show them the picture.
Okay. We are the Bat Magazine Beach Committee. We've been starting a little revolution at Magazine Beach, trying to make it a nicer park. We're working with DCR, which is the State Parks Department, the Department of Conservation and Recreation. They're actually the guardians of the park. And our goal is to work with them to make improvements there. So we want to see nicer, new picnic tables and benches, grills, new paths. We've been really focusing our efforts on fixing up the old granite block building there. Mm-hmm. That is the oldest building on the Charles River Reservation. It used to store gunpowder for ships in Boston Harbor.
Ships coming up to Charles River?
No, the ships.
Oh, they sent a barge or something.
Yeah, they sent barges up the. Well, there were a lot of ships going up the Charles River, but those ships would be harbored in the harbor, and then the gunpowder would be transported onto ships up the Charles River or on specially approved carts, because you didn't want these explosives exploding, right? That was why they were
in my neighborhood. I do.
Right, right. So originally, Magazine Beach was actually an island, and I can show you a picture of that if you want to see it later.
You want to show it to them now?
Sure.
Let's see if we can get this thing to work.
And you can see how things have changed.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
Well, that's Magazine Beach today.
Oh, that's all right. We get us focused.
Yeah.
Point out now the bridges we see here.
Okay, so this right here is the BU Bridge, or what you were calling the Cottage Farm Bridge.
Right.
And some other things you might note are the Mass Pike, Starrow Drive, Memorial Drive, and right here is the Sanofi building that used to be where they made Model Ts. It was the old Ford factory.
The one that has the wonderful neon sign.
No, it doesn't have a neon sign. No.
The Shell station.
The Shell station. You'd think we could see that here.
I'm Attila the Hun here.
Yeah, the Shell station would be right around here.
Okay. But the one where they made the Ford T's is what? Just as you come off the bridge?
Right off the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's amazing about this site is that it's 15 acres. It's Cambridge's second largest park, and it's got the extraordinary potential to really be our central park along the river.
God, that's amazing. Sitting right there. It's ours.
It is ours.
Oh.
It actually was made a park by the city of Cambridge in the late 1800s, and then it was turned over to the state when all the Charles River parklands were passed on to the state, so that the state would have guardianship of all of the parklands. Okay. So now the state needs help. They don't have the funding to care for all their properties. They have gazillion properties all over the state. So the city, corporations, foundations, and individuals were all working together to make Magazine Beach Park nicer.
Now, dear viewers, isn't that amazing? Have a park like that in your own backyard, but it's kind of falling apart, and you got an idea that maybe volunteers could get together and do something.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to take that off for a moment.
Okay.
Do you want one other? Oh, we want.
Well, just.
Yeah, that's good.
I wanted to show you what inspired the Cambridgeport Neighborhood Association's involvement at the park. Here is, again, this building. It was built in 1818. It's the oldest building on the river, and it has a roof that was filled with holes. So as neighbors, we were doing cleanups at the park starting in 2010. We thought, well, this isn't right. We're in the United States of America. We need to improve our local park. So we started getting organized and advocating for a new roof for the building and other improvements to the park as well. So now this building, most of that, there's new graffiti on the building now, unfortunately, but there is a new roof on the building. The roof is no
Fantastic.
longer filled with holes. And this year it's going to get new windows, new doors, security lighting, masonry repointing, and we'll be completing plans for the park. So we can really move forward on improvements.
Isn't that wonderful? Wow.
Yeah, but most people know the park because it's
Oh, look at that. Oh, we hit it.
it's a very
Oh, my
popular
goodness, picnicking.
spot. It's a favorite picnicking spot along the river, and there's also the free municipal pool there.
Right.
There's a free pool there that's opened from the end of June until the end of August. Very, very favorite swimming spot. And just one other picture here.
Oh my goodness, look at those people bathing.
Yeah,
A few years ago though, right?
Yeah, that was a few years ago. This site is called Magazine Beach because the Powder magazine was there, and because it was the favorite swimming beach along the Charles River. There used to be 60,000 people swimming in the river there every summer. That was around the turn of the 1900s.
Right.
And then in 1949 they realized this place is really polluted, and so you couldn't swim in the river anymore, though some people did. And they built the swimming pools there where we now swim.
Isn't that amazing?
And you can sort of see it in here. There's some constables right there watching the beach goers all dressed up, and of course the women in their full length bathing outfits.
Yeah.
Couple of gas tank or oil tanks across the river.
Right. And you got to remember, Magazine Beach today, now you can still see some tanks across the river, and you see railroad tracks. But pretty soon, what I've been learning is there's going to be a lot of development in Alston and Brighton. So in 30 years, you may be seeing buildings across the way and possibly a park as they move I-90 further from the river. There may be green, there may be some trees and greenery, so it could become a lot quieter at Magazine Beach.
Well, I bet it will, because I'm told by some of those people over at Harvard is that the color of Harvard is not crimson but green, and they're really into it.
Oh, good.
So,
well,
and
that's
if the administration isn't into it, the students are.
excellent.
So we'll mobilize them.
That sounds great. We're trying to get everybody and their mother involved with this
All right.
project.
Terrific. All right, shall I come back and everybody can see that we're still here? Oh, we are?
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Now, so you got the problem, you've got this wonderful thing in your backyard, and how do you get your neighbors to get out and get with it?
well, we talked to people. We've got a blog, which is magazinebeach.org. And over 30...
You better say that again, because I'm very slow at writing these
Okay,
things down.
so it's magazinebeach.org. There's no space between magazine and beach. Over 30,000 people have gone to that site over the last couple of years.
Wow.
It's gotten a lot of activity lately because there's a big poster about our project in front of City Hall. So a lot of people have been looking there.
Excellent.
But right now we have an exhibit. I guess that's the really big news. That we've been getting the word out with movies, with exhibits,
And this
through
is something
volunteer
that
activity.
Brian created?
Yeah.
Yeah, this
My
is...
God, we've got the man himself.
Brian, do you want to talk about it?
Tell us again where we are, Brian.
Sure. You're over at the Cambridge Arts Council gallery on the second floor of the City Annex building at 344 Broadway.
It's the place, if you get a parking ticket.
You go right upstairs, right?
Upstairs,
Yeah,
right.
right upstairs. And they were generous enough to offer their space for this exhibition. And it's about a 500 square foot exhibit that Kathy and I and other people put together, researched. We were working on it for probably 5 months, and
Wow.
research would be going to look at what kind of objects were around or available, and what kind of a story they would tell, and what kind of an image would get of the park and the river. So we did the research, we wrote some narratives, we had a number of, maybe, a whole host of meetings throughout the summer. And in the fall, we put this together.
And these are all volunteers that are.
All volunteers.
All volunteers, and we've got to give a special plug for Marilyn Wellens, who, with Nina Cohen, have really been the historians of the park, who have done a tremendous amount of research, mostly as volunteers, and we couldn't have done it without their research as well.
And another partner has been the Cambridge Arts Council, and they not only lent us this nice space to work with, but they helped us sort of refine our vision and how we might present the story, and also recommended some other assets and people and resources that we were able to pull upon. So
Amazing. Now, Brian, when you come up the stairs and you walk into the gallery, what we see before us, what exactly is going on in the...
Well, sure. The first thing you might see as you're walking up the stairs, and you can't really quite see it as well in this picture, is an old rowing skull that was made in Cambridge here by a relative of
Kate Sullivan.
Kate Sullivan's, who went to her relatives to borrow it, drove it up here, and installed it. It's on the ceiling. It's an old wooden boat that they used to use on the river. And in those days, rowing was not the kind of collegiate, and it was more of a working man's sport.
Right.
And very popular. We learned from one of our other partners in researching this was a gentleman over at the Riverside Boat Club, and he was also relating that along with rowing, boxing was a very important sport, and that it focused, a lot of this activity focused right on the river down the...
Build up your muscles rowing, and then you're ready to go and
Right.
box.
Well, it was actually, the Riverside Boat Club is still on the site, but the Riverside Press created a rowing
okay,
club
right.
so that they would have strong workers that got along. They were collegial because they rowed together.
But you can see the exhibit without having to necessarily work on your muscles.
That's true. All you have to do is walk up those stairs. But the boat club loaned us a number of things for the show, and the Historic Commission was incredibly helpful. Many of the images in the show are from the Historic Commission, and they were great partners with this show as well.
A couple other features here that I might point out is that there's some actual reproduction of some powder kegs of the type that were stored in the powder magazine. These came from Newburyport. They have a similar powder magazine up there. This table here is of different kinds of plant specimens that are on the beach right now. They're dried flowers and dried flora. Over in this corner is kind of a trophy area where there's some trophies for the Riverside Boat Club, and a really funny little metal belt that was the property of one of the rowers called Crusher Casey. He was a really strong, enthusiastic rower.
Well, he had been a boxer. Yeah.
There's a couple of rowing oars there, some with the Cambridge, the Riverside Boat Club's striping on it. But one of the neat things about this exhibit is that there's a whole timeline here that sort of sets the story up, and it goes from left to right, talking about the first inhabitants, Native Americans, and all the way up through the last set of landscape plans that we did in 1988.
Isn't
Well,
that marvelous?
2003.
2003.
Yeah.
Right.
But it stops at various different points, and Kathy was very good at sort of like organizing this. When you have an exhibit like this, how do you tell the story, and what's important, what are the main themes, what are the sub-themes, and how to get people engaged in it. And so we did a combination of both a text chronology and a picture chronology, and Kathy researched all the imagery from the Historical Society, but there's some wonderful old maps. There's that aerial view. There's an actual album cover from the famous Dirty Water album, the Boston, the Red Sox Dirty Water theme, and that's just some of the work here. But there's each wall has a sort of one of the features of the exhibit. Each wall contains a certain section, and we organized it to. There's like this section on the left-hand side over here, talking about the strategic location of why it was a powder magazine, and then this wall on this side talks about the river and the industry, and how it changed through time. It was very industrial for a while, then it became more recreational, and then the industries left, and what was left behind.
Isn't that marvelous, though? Here you got all these so-called volunteers who probably didn't think they could do any research, and under your able leadership. Now, how long is the exhibit gonna be up?
Up through February 27th.
February
Right.
27th, you got sort of a month.
Yeah, and we have 3 events coming up that are
Okay.
related to it too.
All right, I'm gonna
Also-
go back there so they can see us
Okay,
here.
yeah. And I wanted to say there's one section of the exhibit too where we're trying to draw information from our visitors. So we asked people if they were writing a letter to the Parks Department, to DCR, what would they want? What would they want to
Right.
convey to the Parks Department? And then there is a section where people can share their memories of the site and which parts of the site are really important to them. And not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the 31st of January, we're having a party at the Arts Council called a Magazine Beach Memory Party, and we're inviting people with memories of the park to come and share them. So if you have a memory of picnicking at the
Right.
park, or swimming at the park, or almost drowning at the park, or exercising your dog at the park, something that was significant, or hanging out at the
And
park.
what are you gonna do, record these all, or?
We're going to be recording them. There'll also be filmers there. We're not going to be filming everybody, but some people, if
Yeah.
they want to be filmed, that will be an option. But we want to gather those stories, and then we're going to share them with the designers that are going to be designing
I
the
think
park
that-
this spring.
Just terrific. Again, think of this, volunteers, just characters like you and me. Well, these two are terrifically dedicated. I'm aspiring to get to what they do. But taking this property, forgotten, and yet really a jewel, and then bringing it to life in this modern exhibit. Now, do you think the exhibit will be, ultimately you store it away, but maybe bring it back?
Well, Brian's been working hard to find some other venues for
Yeah,
the show,
good.
so we hope it'll have a life beyond
Oh,
the
but
27th.
don't forget, now get up there and, I mean, you know, before you pay your tickets, go up and look at it. Be inspired. It makes it less painful.
Yeah.
Anyway, now,
And I was just going to, one
Yeah,
quick question, one
please.
quick thought is that the events that Kathy referred to are free and open to the public, so we encourage
Oh,
public
wonderful.
participation. Even if you don't have a story,
Okay.
you can come and listen to how other people remember the park. And, you know, as I was putting up this exhibit, several people came by and they told me their stories about, you know, their grandfathers and how they used to dance and go to social events down at the river there. So it's a pretty interesting place. There's a lot of hidden stories in it. So I'd encourage everybody just to, you know, to come down to.
I
the
bet
three
if we
events.
all live long enough, we'll also get the river cleaned up a bit, and we can go swimming off there.
Well, you know, the Olympics want to do the triathlon from Magazine Beach, which
Hey.
means they'll be swimming in the water. It'll be a great.
Hey, you
but
want to
just
get interested
cleaning up
in
the
this
river.
project early on,
Yeah.
see if you can get a spot. Now these people are very good about just telling you about the excitement and the sweat and the fun they put into it. But you know, if you have a few extra dollars, you can also give to this project, because this stuff doesn't just drop out of the heavens.
No,
And so I will be the crass fellow to say you can do that. And again, if you go on to their website or their blog, I'm sure there's some instruction as to where they can send the money.
absolutely, it's on the homepage,
On the
we
homepage,
we
what do you
welcome
know?
donations that are. It's likely DCR will match those donations.
Oh, well, there you go.
And we'd get new benches that way, new picnic tables. All the broken things would get fixed if we had donations.
Well, that again is terrific. The DCR too has been taking a more lively interest in the river, and of course we're all hoping on the Boston side. It's actually still part of Cambridge, but they're going to get a path open that will go under all of those bridges,
Right.
so that in fact it's very easy to bicycle and walk and just to enjoy the river with great continuity, not broken by trying to get over a bridge or around it or whatever. So things are happening. In fact, Mayor Menino, I think, even opened Starro Drive on Sunday mornings or something to bicycles on occasion.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So you never know what wild things are going on here. Now, we've got just a few minutes, and are there any other things, as you gathered people to do this sort of thing, that all these prospective volunteers might want to know about what you've been up
Yeah,
to?
I'd like to jump into
Yeah.
that, and perhaps Kathy can help me too, but I think just describing what kind of people have volunteered in the past, because one of the interesting things for me was to understand that we have this this park that needs some help, but how do we go about, actually providing the help and making it better? But also, who in the neighborhood would be capable of helping us out, and what kind of skills can they
Well,
bring?
yeah, so early on, we partnered with the Charles River Conservancy and the Riverside Boat Club, and working with them and the neighbors, we
Right.
have done a lot of cleanup. So you can help out by cleaning up at the park. And our next big cleanup will be on Earth Day, so that'll be in April. So again, go to magazinebeach.org and you'll find out when our cleanups will be, or you can contact the Charles River Conservancy because we partner on those.
Get to
But-
use their truck.
Well, they've got the rakes, they've got the tools,
rake,
they've got
oh,
the gloves, they've
Oh, I
got the
tell you,
bags.
The
all you
bags.
need is the power, the
And-
willpower.
Yeah, they've got
and
the
bat.
leadership. But then, we have artists who've done things at the park for us. We have architects who've advised us. We've got high school students who have organized games for children at events we've had at the park. We
Right.
have yoga instructors that have donated their services by leading programs at the park. We have filmmakers, we have photographers that have all donated their time, editors, writers, designers, party planners, event
I would
organizers.
say to our audience, no excuses, whatever talent
Well,
you've got.
that's
Yeah.
exactly, I think
Bring
that's
it out.
really the point.
Yeah.
Whatever the talent is, there's a need, and you can find a way to fit in and to volunteer. And
Oh, terrific. Now, we're running out of time, which is too bad, but give us that blog site again.
Okay, it's magazinebeach.org. So magazinebeach.org. So go there.